Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan of SportsMemo.com, and I'm here to be the host for the Full Count Major League Baseball show for Friday, July the 1st, 2022. I can't even believe it's half over. The 22 season or calendar year is half over. Welcome to the show, Kevin. We're going to break down 3 games, but first, tell me how things are going with Sports Memo. You got any big plays going tonight that our viewers should get involved with?
I just have one premium play, and it's actually one of the games we're going to talk about, the Marlins and Nationals. So I'll be talking more about the total here because I got an investment on the side, locked it in last night about midnight. So I'm going to go over there and check that out. And as always, the NFL deal is going on right now. 4th of July, weekend special. A lot of great deals, a lot of great cappers over there. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, as much as I like to promote myself, I promote all these guys because I look at them. I watch their free content, and I take a couple of their picks too. So head over to Sports Memo and check out all the great cappers and all the great deals.
Well done, Kevin. I have a 3-pack of Major League Baseball up now. Was number one last year in the NFL preseason. 2 years ago, it was number one NFL overall. Humbly said, you never know what you're going to be year to year, but I am coming off a 5%er last night with the Phillies, who destroyed the Braves. They couldn't have gone better. Now 5-0 since August of last year with Major League Baseball 5%er. So I'm fortunate. We'll just keep it rolling. So our first game is that game you have the play on with Miami Marlins, 4th place in the National League East, taking on the dreadfully poor Washington Nationals, who are 5th in the National League East. We have Josiah Gray going for the Nationals, ERA of 3.82, 6-4 record. That's pretty darn good pitching on a team like the Washington Nationals, in my opinion. Trevor Rogers, 3-6 record. ERA is a lofty 5.86. Marlins are struggling to get to 500. I said preseason that a win total bet on the Marlins was my best bet for the season. I'm hoping that they can be 500 by the end of the year. But for this game, Kevin, what do you see as an opportunity? And please don't give away the premium bet over SportsMemo.com.
Well, you're going to see this might be one of the better pitching matchups we talk about because I'm high on Josiah Gray. Dodgers scouted him back in the day, and he's going against Trevor Rogers, who has had success against the Nationals. On June 9th, he beat them throwing 5 innings. So I'm looking at the under here because Miami Marlins are going to be without their best home run hitter, their RBI leader in Jazz Chisholm. I'm high on that kid. A lot of his cards I stockpiled at the beginning of the season. He's definitely out for this. Probably won't be back till after the All-Star break. So it's going to be all about pitching in this game, especially for Miami on the road. So that line went from 9.5 to 9, and I know the public likes the under. I'm going to ride with the public here, and I would take the under 9 in this matchup as well.
Yeah, I like that side as well. I have no argument from me, not even a debatable question, to be honest. One concern I do have with Trevor Rogers pitching for the Marlins, he has a pretty not so good hard hit percentage of 34%. It doesn't mean that it leaves the ballpark, but it does mean that the ball gets pounded pretty good. Even with the national lineup being what it is, they could get a lot of hits. But then, to your point, Washington doesn't score runs. Runners in scoring position, they're terrible any given month that we've looked at so far, even week. They have a couple good games, but then it's back to not being able to score, not being able to win. So I like that side as well with the under. Let's move on to the second game of the show here, and that is the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies, I believe. And just double checking that. Yep, that is the second game here. Arizona, 4th in the National League West. Colorado Rockies are 5th in the National League West. At one point earlier this season, Kevin, all 5 teams in the National League West had winning records, which was really surprising. But now things are getting a little bit normal, as we expected, with the Dodgers on top, the Padres a game and a half back, and then the San Francisco Giants right behind them, followed by the Diamondbacks and then the Rockies. That's pretty much how I see the teams ending the year. But we got a long way to go. Arizona is 8 games under 500. Colorado's now 10 games under 500. This line is minus 114 in favor of Colorado. They are a team that is Jekyll and Hyde. They play much, much better at home at mile high conditions, and they don't play well at all when they're on the road. So that gives me a little bit of a lean to the Rockies with Senzatella on the hill, 3-4, 4.66. Merrill Kelly has a 3.64 ERA. If he was on a different team, he probably could be 8-1. But what do you see as an opportunity in this matchup, Kevin?
Well, like you said, with Merrill Kelly on the mound, 6-5, he already faced Colorado, and it was probably his best performance going 8 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 Ks. Merrill isn't a strikeout kind of guy. He's more of a ground ball pitcher. But he's playing in Colorado, and in that matchup, there was no Chris Bryant. Now, I know Chris Bryant just came back, and he's got like 3 hits out 12 at bats, but you can't never count Chris Bryant out. Like I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought Colorado letting Story go. They were letting some pieces go, and then they signed Chris Bryant, who I thought the Phillies had a good chance of going after. It kind of shocked me a little bit because I didn't know what direction this team was going in. Last year the road record was horrible. Home record was surprisingly shocking. But you look at Senzatella. He's pitched against these Arizona Diamondbacks 18 times, and he's 3-8. So his ERA is pretty high against them too. So if I had to put a lean on this, I would probably go over that 11.5. My only worry, I wanted to ask you about this with 4th of July weekend and stuff. Do guys start checking out, making plans and stuff? That's my biggest concern here. That's a lot of runs, but Senzatella, he gives them up, and you got Martell over there, but I don't know. I would lean on the 11. I'd lean on the over, and then I would probably take Arizona just because Senzatella is horrible against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I like that take, Kevin, and you triggered a thought. That's what's great about these shows, exchange of information. It makes you a better everything. I mean, more information you have, the smarter you are, the smarter your bets are going to be. In-game bet with the total. It is lofty. You're right. It's 11. So what do you think of doing 50% pre-flop at 11 and then look for a slower than expected start during the first 2 or 3 innings? And hopefully at that point it's 2-1. That kind of maybe 3 runs in total or less. Then I think you might be able to get a 9.5 line and add the rest of the 50% at that level. I kind of like that idea because I think it definitely, if you could bet the game now at 9.5, you would be all over the over.
Yes.
And if it starts out, they score 7 runs in the first 2 innings, then you miss that opportunity. But you're also not going to expose yourself to a full blown bet either. That I think that's what the advantage is. What do you think?
I couldn't agree with you more. You never know what you're going to get because the first time through, these pitchers usually do pretty well. I know a lot of runs are scored in the first 2 innings, but like I said with Merrill, I think he can keep the ball down. But I think as the game goes on and that the weather and stuff, the atmosphere and the nighttime of Colorado, that ball is going to start going up. But yeah, I would look that way too. If you could get 9.5 after inning 3, I'd jump all over that.
Yeah, and the Rockies are 13th in Major League Baseball, scoring 4.47 runs per game. That includes their pathetic performances on the road. They're number 1 in batting average, number 2 in hits per game at 9. So it stands to reason that if they get out to a slow start at Coors, that things will change in the later innings, especially with both bullpens as bad as they are. Arizona's pen is really starting to be like they've been for many seasons. So I like that take quite a bit, 50% on the over before the game, and then look for 9.5 and add the other 50. All right, let's move on to the third and final game before we get to the best bet segment of the show. And that game is the Chicago White Sox, third in the American League Central, who I think are the most underperforming team from the preseason expectations of any team in Major League Baseball. I can't figure out why in the world they are 4 games under 500. They should be 14 or 15 games over 500. based on the names that are on that team. It's crazy. Maybe it's the manager is not doing his job. Just saying. San Francisco Giants, third in the National League West, as I said earlier in the show, chasing the San Diego Padres, who do get Manny Machado back tonight, by the way. Game and a half behind the Dodgers. San Francisco is in a position to become a wild card. No question about it. Two of the wild cards could come out of the National League West later on this year. Alex Cobb is on the hill. Former Texas Ranger, 3-3, ERA of 5.48. Lance Lynn has an even worse ERA, 6.19. Initially, you would think over right away, but sometimes these veteran pitchers calm down and they get their acts together. That's why they're at the major league level, because they don't have two or three horrible starts in a row. What do you think about this matchup, Kevin?
Yeah, like you touched on it. Like Lance Lynn, I think he's 1-1, but in 15 innings, he's given up 20 hits in 3 starts. That's horrible, especially for Lance. And so, he wants to come out big here. So that over under a 7 was kind of is a little misleading to me, because I would lean towards the over here just because of how bad Lance Lynn has been. And like you touched on, the White Sox, they've been plagued with injuries all season long. I mean, Abreu, he leads their team with 9 home runs. I think that might be like the lowest 9. Most teams are already in double digits with their home runs. Elroy Jimenez, he's been hurt, and he's a huge factor in that offense moving forward. So I still, the way Evan Longoria is hitting the ball and stuff, Lance Lynn struggling. I mean, what are we going to get with Alex Cobb? And then you get the one of my best bet. You got Vaughn coming home to California to play in front of his hometown. So uh, if I didn't put a pick on this, I think I would lean towards that over 7.5, and I would hope for 8, but I don't think it's going to be 7. I would go over 7.5 here.
I agree with you on that. Home runs allowed per game by the starter. San Francisco's average is 0.5, which is pretty good. Home runs allowed per game by the San Francisco bullpen ranks 16th in the majors. The White Sox are 19th in that category. So when the bullpens get involved, and it doesn't look like either one of these starters is going to be going 6, I think that adds even more fuel to the over. And again, that live in-game bet always is in my head. Nobody's telling you to bet the game full force, before it starts. With totals especially, you can see how the game goes. If they score a ton of runs, you're going to win 50% of your bet.
Well,
If they
and
don't score,
these non-division games, though, you never know how the coach is going to play it. I mean, he really don't care about winning. So if that bullpen's struggling, he isn't pulling that guy out. He's going to let him go 2 or 3 innings. He wants to eat innings because he wants to save those guys for the Padre games, for the Dodger game. I know the All-Star break's coming up, but still, it's a game that really either team, do they really – I mean, the White Sox probably want to win it. They both want to win it, but it really won't affect anything in the outcome of their division. So I would think like the bullpen, if they go early 5-6 innings, I think you're going to see guys go 2.5, and then that's when the hits will start happening more. So
I agree 100%. That's a great breakdown there of that. That's the reason you would bet the over for sure. Yeah, that's really good, Kevin. I like that quite a bit.
But I think it opened at 8, so that kind of scares me. When a line drops, it kind of scares me. Like last night, I had the under in the Dodgers game, and it dropped. I got it at 8 in a couple sites, and then I went and 7.5 over SportsMemo. It kind of made me a little nervous. I mean, it cashed, but still made me a little nervous when it drops like that.
Well, psychologically and mathematically, it's different than if it's opened at 9.5 and goes to 9 versus a line at 8 that goes to 7.5. I mean, it's kind of common sense. 7.5, you don't need too many homers to go over, and no matter who's pitching. Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the beginning of this game, was that the pitchers, the starters, their flash numbers are terrible. Why is the total at 7.5? And that kind of gets me off of the over. But I think at the end of the day, I like the 50% pre-flop at 7.5, betting the over, and then look for a slow start. And if that happens, add the other 50%, maybe it's 6.5. And it's no sin in not getting that second half bet. The extra 50% in game. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But you're also probably going to win the total if you don't get that second bet. So I guess we'll go to the final round here with the best bets. Well, I guess I'll go first since it's only two of us, and then we'll let Kevin be the anchor. I like the Texas Rangers tonight, Kevin. I really do. The Mets have lost three in a row now. They're not playing well. They're not scoring now. And that lead that I had talked about back in the 1st of June was 10.5 games. That lead now over the Braves is only 3, and it's only 8 over the Phillies. And the Phillies are a team that I know you're a big fan of, and I think they're a team that is going to be part of this chase. And I don't think the Mets are just going to suddenly get back Scherzer and DeGrom and blow everybody off the face of the earth. When a veteran comes back, there usually is an adjustment period. It's not going to, and they're not going to win every game when they pitch. So, Atlanta is the reigning world champs, and they're breathing down their necks already right here close to the All-Star break. Texas is a team that's much better than last year. I'm really puzzled why it's plus 175. I think we're getting a gift at playing 175 with the Texas Rangers, but I really like the under. And the under bet is supported by one of my betting systems that I have here. And you're going to bet under in a game that is lined at 9 or fewer runs. So it's at 9 right now. It's probably likely to go to 9.5 as opposed to dropping to 8.5. But nevertheless, it's got to be 9 or fewer. Team is coming off a game with a combined score of 2 or fewer runs, which the Mets accomplished. The opponent is coming off a game with a combined score of fewer than 3 runs, which Texas was involved with last night, or actually I should say Wednesday, because both teams had off on Thursday. The combined parameters have gone 238, 146 with 16 pushes, 62% winning bets over just the last 5 seasons. Translates into a 27% ROI, Kevin. You can't get that in the S&P this year. And a profit of $8,885 just simply following those 3 steps each and every day. You don't even need a computer to do that. I think that's a pretty impressive betting system. So I like Texas and the under, and I would not parlay them because I really don't like parlays, but I would play both of them with the same amount of your normal bet size. Let's move over to Kevin now and see where he's going with his best bet. I almost hope you're taking the Phillies because I was thinking about you last night being the big fan you are, and they got out to that big start, and I was like, yeah.
I was looking at them, especially with Fulter on the mound, because I didn't get the chance. A couple of my buddies got out to Lehigh to watch him, and they said he's legit. I know he's like the sixth man coming up pitching for Eflin, but they said he's legit. And I know in his first 3, he struggled, and most of it was against one. I think Bell's the one that torched him. But other than that, I would go small on the Phillies. I don't like to bet like my Packers or Phillies just because I don't like to jinx anything. But I will bet against them. Like if you see me, I put a lot of picks against the Phillies up, and I usually cash because I just have a good feeling and watching everything. But I'm actually going with a player prop with Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox going home to Oracle Park, where he's a big fan of the Giants growing up as a kid, and his favorite player was Barry Bonds, and he's just to get an RBI plus 200 in his last 3 games. He's got 2 RBIs. It could go either way. He could go home and all that fanfare and stuff. Be a little nervous and stuff. But watching some interviews with him, he's a tough kid, and I think he's going to show up. 1 RBI, I think, will be a steal. And if he gets a home run, that's plus 750. Now, I bet $20 that he gets a home run plus 750. I didn't go too big on that, but I do like that. I was looking at Bryson Stott earlier because the kid's on fire. I told everyone at the beginning of the season, don't sleep on Bryson Stott, and he's been hitting the ball well, and it shows because just to get a hit is like minus 200, which I don't bet minus 200. That's for sure. But I like seeing that. That builds my confidence even more when I see my guys minus 200, minus 280 just get RBIs or a hit because they're expected to do that often. So I like Andrew Vaughn. I like a feel good story where the kid goes home. So an RBI for plus 200, like John always says, a little bit of pizza money goes a long way here for plus 200. So I would go ahead and take a look at that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It makes you feel good when you get 20 pizzas stacked up outside your front door. You know you're not going to grow hungry, and that's all good. So, Kevin, that brings us to the end of the show, and now we can get started with the 4th of July celebration. I want everybody to have a safe and happy holiday first and foremost. We'll be back Monday with another edition of the Full Count Show. But before I let you go, just one small favor. Please hit the subscribe button and nail that bell. You'll be notified of every single live show we do. And we have new shows coming up. NFL, college football is right around the corner, and you don't want to miss those. I'm promising you, you do not want to miss those. So just take a moment and do that and help get us over 5,000 subscribers. Maybe you will be the one that gets us at 5,000. It's a pretty cool notoriety thing to be the 5,000th subscriber of our shows. I like that idea. So anyway, thanks again, Kevin. Have a great weekend. I know I'm going to try to do my best with that as well. And until Monday, remember two things. Bet with your head, never over it, and may all the wins be yours.